What's up, fantasy hooligans? It is Pigskin Dynasty, your podcast for all things Dynasty Fantasy Football. With the sprinkle, the donuts with little sprinkles on it, like my favorite little sprinkle of sports talk. I'm your host that always kicks it through the goalpost, Matt Phillips. Alongside me is, him. He wears his jerseys. He has like 100 of them. He's also a Oompa Loompa reject. I'm talking about the unofficial fantasy guru.
My skin wasn't orange enough. My hair wasn't green enough.
Yes, and he couldn't sing and dance either. That was his problem. Like one of the criteria was he had to sing and dance, and he has like no rhythm. He's
I'm as white as it gets.
All right, but what's up, Scott? How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So we had a pretty good.
How was that draft last night?
The draft was pretty good. Can you
believe
believe what the Browns did? Oh my God! Wow, unbelievable. So we did the draft, our mock draft, last couple episodes. If you haven't seen it, make sure you just subscribe right here for round 1. Subscribe right here for round 2. But other than that, let's go into Scott's Fantasy Minute, a segment that we like to do. That Scott, the unofficial fantasy guru, talks about anything he feels relevant in the fantasy community. So I'm going to leave it over to the unofficial fantasy guru, the retired Oompa Loompa, Scott Worthy.
Retired or rejected?
Rejected, both.
All right, guys. After my successful career as the Oompa Loompa, I started getting into Dynasty Fantasy Football. And one of the key things that I see happen all the time is people rely too much on trade calculators, website rankings, and Twitter polls. Now, they are tools that you could use, but you need to be careful with how you use them. So as far as trade calculators go, say you think of a trade. You enter it into the trade calculator. It favors the side you're giving away, not the side you're getting back. What does that mean you should do? That means, and all websites are different, so every trade calculator is going to be a little bit different. But what you should do at that point is take that information, say, okay, you know what? I could probably get more. So ask for more than the trade that you were thinking of beforehand. And then as far as Twitter polls go, because Twitter polls are different than Dynasty trade calculators. Twitter polls are more or less the consensus of the community as a whole, and trade calculators are a website's value projection of a player. So you got to use them differently. So the trade calculator will tell you that value, the website of the value. If you entered in a Twitter poll and the community votes it differently than a calculator, there's certain things that you need to see and that you need to decide for yourself between the two elements, which side you like. So if you post something on Twitter, the community likes the other thing different than your thing, what you're putting on, then like same thing with the trade calculator. Consensus is you could get more for what you're offering and what you're trying to get. So and don't let your trade calculators and Twitter polls be end all be alls. There's plenty of times where I like a side that's not the favorite, and to me that's a good thing because I would rather have this so I can get more than what I would already take. And that's been your hashtag Scott's Fantasy Minute.
Thanks, Scott. That was Scott's Fantasy Minute. Don't forget to tweet us at hashtag Scott's Fantasy Minute for any topics that you want Scott to talk about in next week's shows. I do want to mention something on the trade calculators. Use your best judgment. It's obviously trade calculators are what the average of like what people like. Some trade calculators validate picks a lot more than they do the players. It's just a lot of people. And be careful. A lot of people, this guy right here, likes to manipulate you.
Absolutely.
And like send you images like, oh, well, this trade calculator right here says it's a really good trade.
Yep.
But be smart. If you like a player, keep them. That's simple.
Trust your opinion of the guy.
Instincts. Your instincts are always going to be the best choice. Okay, don't let other people fool you. He tried to do it to me plenty of times, and it
works.
Work.
It works.
Not to me.
Certain people have their own things, and it does work. So if you understand the way to use calculators and Twitter polls, you can send them to other people who may or may not understand them. And a guy's on the fence, they might see a Twitter poll, oh, they favor that 70%. Okay, I guess I should do that. They just don't know. And that's why I'm trying to tell you guys and inform you guys how to look at this information and how to use it to better your teams and help you take the advantage of that. And I just think it's something that people, they see it cut and dry, black and white. Well, it's not black and white. There's a little bit of gray in everything.
Some people save lives. Scott saves fantasy lives. That's why he's this unofficial fantasy guru. Well, let's go into our sports talk, Scott. This is the sprinkle of sports talk we're talking about. Let's go up to the up-to-date fantasy news. So the big thing is, we talked about it last week, C.J. Anderson got cut, as predicted as last week. Let's talk about that, Scott. Go ahead.
He will not sign anywhere until after, I'm guessing, training camp, because if you look at the running back landscape around the NFL, there's not very many openings. Well, there's a bunch of running backs coming out. So those openings are going to get filled. So where is he going to go? I mean, his best opportunity, and he's kind of in the same boat as DeMarco Murray at this point, is wait it out. You don't got to go through training camp. Just keep yourself in shape. Wait for a running back to get injured, maybe in preseason, and sign with the team. You don't need a whole lot. I mean, running back is a very instinctual position, so there isn't a whole lot of learning the playbook, learning this. It's go this way, take a handoff,
you hand the ball, and you run.
Right.
Much.
Now, there is a little bit of chemistry you need to build your offensive line.
Blocking assignments.
But to me, at this point with C.J. Anderson, that's what I would expect. So don't be, if you're a C.J. Anderson or even DeMarco Murray owner, and then you see free agent next to their name all summer long, don't be concerned until week 1 of the NFL season. I do think they will sign somewhere. They have enough pedigree. They're still young enough. They still have recency success. So, just be patient on those guys.
And most dynasty leagues have like a roster spots of like 35 plus. So if you have an extra roster spot and you want to just maybe it's a free agent, maybe DeMarco Murray and C.J. Anderson, just pick them up. What's the worst that happens? If they don't get signed, drop them. I have DeMarco Murray. I mean, I'll keep him on my lineup until something happens. I mean, I still think he's going to sign somewhere, but he doesn't, so be it. I drop him.
And if you don't own those guys, throw the owners a 4th or 5th round pick. See if you can get them on your roster. Because honestly, that late in the draft, I would taking a veteran that's done it and still young enough and close enough to having success. They're more likely to hit having success in 2018, and you can flip it for something more than if you just draft a Chase Edmonds. Even though he's a player we like, it's just they don't always pan out.
I mean, you're not picking any of those players for to fill in a need. Hopefully, you have solid running backs, but I think they have potential to fill up your bye weeks or maybe potentially injury.
It's all about depth.
All right, let's go into the next news, Scott. Big news was that Willie Snead. So he's a restricted free agent. The Baltimore Ravens offered him a two-year, $10 million contract, which is a ridiculous amount of money for just his status as a receiver. The Saints have an opportunity to match it. They already said they won't because it makes sense with Cam and Meredith. So let's talk about 1, Willie Snead in general, and 2, Willie Snead going into the Baltimore Ravens.
If you're a Willie Snead owner, I don't think he could have gone to a worse situation. Now he's with Baltimore. They brought in Michael Crabtree. They brought in John Brown. Now Willie Snead. Joe Flacco. They don't throw it around a whole lot. They usually lean on the running game. So if I'm a Willie Snead owner, I do not like this landing spot. I do see there is somebody on the Ravens that this might be best case scenario for, is Brashad Perriman. If you're one of the unfortunate souls who invested a first round pick in Brashad Perriman in 2015, going into this offseason, it was obvious the Ravens were going to address the wide receiver position, given the offseason. Most people thought they'd do that in the draft. I think now with bringing in John Brown, Michael Crabtree, and Willie Snead, I'd be surprised if they address that position early in the draft. So as a Brashad Perriman owner, even myself as a Brashad Perriman owner, I see this as good news for him. But the good news is on Brashad Perriman is, 4 weeks into the season, you'll know if Brashad Perriman is going to be a hit. But at this point, how long he's been in the NFL, he's a cut candidate once we get into the season.
I feel the same way. I didn't like Willie Snead in general as to begin with. I felt he kind of exploded on that 1 year with the Saints because just Drew Brees was such a good quarterback and the receivers around him were just adjusting coverage to him. He was like that slot receiver. But let's just talk a little bit about this and go on to our next segment. But I do want to talk about Dez. Let's talk about Dez really quick. So Brandon Marshall gets cut. Dez releases an Instagram video of him working out with OBJ. There was that tweet where he said he wants to go play the Cowboys twice, kind of like for revenge purposes. So 1, what do you think the probability of Dez going to the Giants? And how do you like the fantasy perspective of him going to the Giants?
Well, we did touch on it last week where I said Eli Manning, what he could throw a really good back shoulder. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Plaxico Burress with the way he plays. So I do think there would be a schematic fit with Eli Manning with the New York Giants. As fantasy goes, it's about probably not his top option, but it's a good landing spot. It's a good offense, tied to a good quarterback. He won't have to face the double coverages anymore. Those will always go to Odell Beckham. I believe he is probably the best receiver in the league. If not, he's second or third best. And So for fantasy, I think it's a good thing for Dez. Better than Dallas, and
just quarterback situation better.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, but I still think that's just all talk. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, money. It's all about money.
Yeah, but I mean, the money thing's a big deal. So I do think that if he goes to a team like the Giants or like the Cardinals we don't really have that much money, that it's going to be like a incentive-based contract. I touched about that earlier today, but I still think the team to go is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I still think John Lynch is secretly doing his thing and talking to Dez right now and trying to get him over to San Francisco.
Yep. And I think the team that signs him is probably going to be the team that misses out on a receiver in the draft. I mean, we're so close to the draft, you might as well wait 4 days.
Yeah.
Even if you're Dez, wait, because you want to see who gets drafted, where the guys go, let the chips fall, and then if you're Dez, you can try to pick your spot a little bit better.
I do think he gets signed after the draft. But besides the point, that was up to minute NFL news. Let's talk about a little bit of sports talk here. We're sports talk. NBA playoffs are in effect, okay?
Sprinkle of sports talk.
Sprinkle of sports talk, right? The NBA playoffs in effect. Cleveland Cavaliers are looking like they're going to lose in the first round, and that'll be LeBron James' first time ever losing in the first round. Got the Rockets looking like a complete stud. The Bucks are looking pretty good, but they're kind of down right now. What do you want to talk about the NBA playoffs? Scott, you want to open the door?
Yep. I had I don't know if it's a philosophy or just a mindset, but back when they were all in Oklahoma City, I said James Harden and Russell Westbrook will never win NBA championships. They're too selfish of players. I still feel 100% that way about Russell Westbrook. He is too selfish. He doesn't get his teammates involved the way he needs to, especially being a point guard. Now, James Harden, on the other hand, he's evolved his game. He's changed. He is playing well with others as they speak. So I might change my tune a little bit on James Harden. I think they definitely are a top title contending team this year, and I think that has to do with maturity and Chris Paul coming there and really helping Harden grow as a player.
And with Chris Paul there, kind of adjusts the zone coverage and man-to-man coverage they do. They're not always on Harden. Kind of you got to account for Chris Paul. But also, you got to take into account that injuries in the West. Okay, what is Golden State doing right now? Steph Curry is out right now. Will he be back? You don't know. The only team that can really take Houston out is the Golden State Warriors. So we'll see how that point out. But I think the Houston Rockets are the team to beat in the West.
Well, the Pelicans just clinched their series on Saturday. They'll be playing Golden State. We're presuming Golden State's going to win. They're up 3-0 on the Spurs right now. So Golden State and the Pelicans, do you think Anthony Davis and the Pelicans would give Golden State fits because they don't really have that big to really come back? I mean, Draymond's there, but he's not quite the physical player that Anthony
you got to understand Golden State's offense. Okay, they're pretty much a perimeter offense. They like to pass around their perimeter, and they have such great shooters. So I think if the Pelicans adjust for like a more zone defense to kind of guard that perimeter a really bit, I think Anthony Davis is going to completely destroy Draymond in terms of just like working in that. I think that's definitely a mismatch. I think Draymond Green won't be able to as effective in this series if it does happen. But if they can protect that perimeter and just get into the face and make sure that the 3 points don't go in, I think they do have a shot. But I think it's a slim shot, but they do have a shot.
And that shot is increased if Steph's unable to play.
So let's talk about Cavaliers. It seems like the Cavaliers are the team that everyone wants to talk about. LeBron James is doing anything he possibly can to try to win. Unfortunately, this, to me, his worst supporting cast out of all his years. What do you want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Well, I mean, if it wasn't for LeBron James just completely going off in the second game on a 13-0 run to begin the season or begin the game.
And they should have won Game 3.
40-something points. I mean, just completely dominating that game. They only won by 3 points. And Oladipo was in foul trouble, so if Oladipo was able to play for most of that game, they probably lose. They'd be down 0-3.
And they were up 20-plus points in Game 3. They should have won Game 3.
Yeah, so, I mean, at the very least, this series, I mean, this is a series. It is going to go 6 or 7 games. Honestly, I really like Indiana's chances, and I think LeBron could get bounced. And at that point, does he come back to Cleveland?
Nope.
I don't think so.
I have him going to Philadelphia 76ers. I think he's going with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. I'm really bad with last names.
Football. I mean, what if the 76ers get to the finals this year? Why wouldn't they? Who in the East is going to stop them? I'm not a huge Sixers fan or anything, but who is in the East?
No one's in the East. The only team that's in the East is the Boston Celtics, but they lost Kyrie, so I still don't think.
And they lost the white guy from Utah. What's his name?
Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, Hayward ain't even playing, and they're out Kyrie. Like, They got a coach.
It'll definitely be interesting. He's a player option in that last. He's definitely going to be a free agent, so it could be LA, but I don't think he goes to LA because of the ball situation there. I think he doesn't want that type of publicity. He always
and it's the Western Conference too, and that is
he's never played in the Western Conference, and he always likes smaller
Oh.
market teams particularly.
Miami, a small market team.
According to like just market size in the NBA, yes, they're a smaller size. LA's huge, New York's huge. I still think Philadelphia is huge, but not as big. I think yes, Philadelphia is a chance. But let's go into speaking of LeBron James. Let's go into our hashtag fantasy debate section of this podcast. Let's talk about LeBron James. A lot of people like to compare LeBron to Michael Jordan. Rightfully so. LeBron James is the best of our generation, especially our generation. Michael Jordan was the best in his generation in the 90s, early 2000s. So I personally think it's kind of unfair to compare the two because one, they're both different players and they play in a completely different style of NBA. But open the door. What do you think about the LeBron James and Michael Jordan comparison?
So on the LeBron James Michael Jordan comparison, LeBron James is by far a superior physical athlete than Michael Jordan was. By far. Now, the mental part of the game, Michael Jordan just is, leaps and bounds better than LeBron James is. So, and that's a big part of sports is the mental part. If you're in a slump, how do you get out of it? If you're dominating, how do you keep yourself motivated to get stronger and go on and go on? And I think Michael Jordan just had that my ball, I'm going to kill you mentality. And LeBron James, maybe it's the era of basketball, but he's more, I worry about what other people think of me. Mm-hmm. I care about others, than Michael Jordan did. And Michael Jordan was just more
also,
I'm the best. I'm going to get
social media and just media in general it was
no,
big in
yeah,
the 90s.
Yeah, that's a huge thing
LeBron
too.
James could like burp and everyone make news about it. And it's kind of this, one of the side effects of being so popular.
The scrutiny on LeBron James is so much higher than it ever was on Michael Jordan, just because it's a microscope that is on LeBron James at all times.
All right, so I'm a little bit more different. Okay, I'm a stats guy. I like to watch stats. So first thing on the Michael Jordan side in terms of LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Okay, LeBron James is not a defender. LeBron James has never won Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Jordan won twice. He never put there's some times where he will dilly-dally in a defense and just save his energy for the offense, which I don't like about him, which is whatever. I mean, he rarely misses games, which is cool. He's conserving his energy for when he needs it. He's never been a defensive guy. One thing about LeBron James, though, that Michael Jordan couldn't do was the fact that LeBron James could pretty much play any position he wants. You could put him in the center if he needs to. Point guard, shooting guard, forward, any position he can really succeed at. Michael couldn't. And a lot of things that really aggravate me in terms of Michael Jordan and LeBron James debate is that a lot of people go, Michael's 6-0 in NBA Finals. They're saying it he played in nothing but NBA Finals. The man's been in the league for 15 seasons and he only played in 6 finals. He lost in the first round twice. He lost in the second round twice. He lost in the conference final twice. LeBron James has never done that. LeBron James never lost in the first round. He never lost in the second round. He lost in the conference finals, I think, once or twice. But the majority of the times, he's consistently going into the NBA Finals. And that is completely unheard of. He's played in, the last 8? And I just feel like that's unfair. And a lot of things that people from Michael Jordan's side would be like, oh, Michael Jordan's the GOAT, which he is, probably. But I think LeBron James is right there. But they go Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. He had this great supporting staff. Even
the coach.
Phil Jackson, the greatest coach of all time. And he had what's the Golden State Warriors head coach? That point guard. They used to be
the white guy that could shoot threes.
Yeah, John Kerr. Steve Kerr. Even him, he was an all right point guard. Can you name a LeBron James supporting cast besides Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh when he won those 2 championships in Miami? Can you name one? Kyrie Irving, maybe.
Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the supporting cast. It was one of his downfalls. I think he goes to a team that has a supporting cast. I just think it's unfair. I think the story of who's the GOAT in NBA basketball, I think it's very close. A lot of people think Michael Jordan's by far. But I don't base performance on championship rings. I think it's,
otherwise Bill Russell would be the best.
I think that's unfair sentiment. If you look at the length of career LeBron James had, he rarely misses games. He's always consistently in the NBA Finals. His stats are amazing. He's on pace to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's point record if he plays for the next 5-6 years at the pace he's at. I think it's unfair. But other than that, let us know what you think.
I just want to put in, I think it's unfair to compare stats because Michael Jordan did do 4 years in college, and then he took 2 years off to play baseball. So there's 6 years where LeBron is going to be getting stats and Michael Jordan is not. So I do think that is unfair. Honestly, the only way I feel like you can really compare this is just the eye test. You can't black and white this. This is a gray area. It's going to be a debate. It doesn't matter. It will always be a debate. You'll have your Michael Jordan truthers. You'll have your LeBron James truthers.
You know, people in the middle, like me. You also got to point out, Michael Jordan also played baseball 2 years, and that's 2 years in his prime that he got them more stats. Like a lot of big deal was LeBron James just broke Michael Jordan's 10-point double-digit record, and if Michael Jordan didn't play baseball those 2 years, that could have been another 80, 160-plus games. So.
Plus, it's entirely different. It's so much more physical back in the 90s when Jordan was playing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Michael
now,
Jordan
I mean, it's a three-ball-centric game.
Yeah.
Like, the game is completely different than what it was when Michael Jordan had to face the bad boy Pistons.
Oh, yeah. But era basketball is definitely a factor. But let us know what you think. Tweet at us. Ask us what you think. We want to hear your side of the story. This is just us. I'm not saying one guy's better than the other. I'm just pointing out, just like throwing it out there. We want to see what the viewers say. But that's it for our today's show. It's been great. It's been fun. Don't forget to tweet us at Dynasty Pigskin. Tweet Instagram, Facebook. Also want to give a shout out to Anthony Rogers out of Jacksonville, Florida, and his podcast, Bro Listen, talking about the political and social injustice of the black community. Give it a shout out. You'll see it right around in this area right here. Other than that, Scott, you want to throw in anything in there? Anything you want to say?
No, I got it.
Philosophical ideas you want to point out?
No, I'm good.
You're
I
good?
think we touched on everything we want to touch on this week, Matt. Today's Friday. We got the second and third rounds of the draft, and those to me are the best rounds for fantasy because only so many players get drafted in the first round, but really the second and third round are the ones you need to key in on at the running back position and even the receivers in the second round. So that's just all I want to say. Pay attention to the position, the skill positions in the NFL today, and enjoy your weekend, guys.
All right, and hey, more importantly, guys, do you wear ankle candy? Do you wear ankle candy? I'm rocking some mean avocado stocks right now, guys. Follow me on Instagram. I'll put all my ankle candy out there. It's a need. There's an epidemic out there. Cover up those pale ankles, guys, with some beautiful ankle candy. Feel me? Bedazzle those ankles. Other than that, guys, it's been great. It's been good. Fancy Hooligans, you stay beautiful. I'm out. We're going. See you next week. Watch the draft. Peace out.
Oh, right on.